And today I'm going to do an elaborate touch on why those medications must be avoided, what they do, how they trigger. One is corticosteroids, dexamethasone, hydrocortisone, betamethasone. This medication directly affects your blood sugar level. How do these medications increase your blood sugar level? Number one, they cause insulin resistance. All of us know that insulin is just like a vehicle that carries glucose from the blood into where it's supposed to be. That is causing problems, sugar in blood. It removes it from the blood and channels it to where it's supposed to be. So by the time this sugar is removed from the blood and taken to where it's supposed to be, there is nothing like diabetes again. So insulin is the main factor that remove this thing. And you know that this insulin is produced in the pancreas. Corticosteroids increase your blood sugar level by causing insulin resistance can be called insulin insensitivity. What does it mean? It means that your body does not recognize the presence of insulin in the blood. The vehicle that is supposed to remove this sugar is in the blood already to remove it. But the body is not recognizing that this vehicle called insulin is in the blood to remove this sugar from the blood so that you can be free from diabetes. It is in the blood, but the body is not recognizing that it is there. And that alone will make the liver to keep breaking down fats and releasing glucose more in the blood. The one already in the blood has not been removed because the body has not recognized the presence of insulin, and another is released more in the blood, causing a spike in the level of blood sugar. Do you understand what I mean? I mean, there is sugar in the blood, and what is supposed to remove the sugar in the blood has come to remove it. But the sugar refused to enter into the vehicle that will move, so that it can be transported to where it's supposed to be. So the conveyor, which is the insulin, is in the blood. And the molecules of sugar, which is in the blood, are supposed to be transported to where it's supposed to be, which is muscles and fatty cells. It's still in blood. It is not seeing the vehicle. So the liver is thinking that there has been evacuation of this sugar in blood. It now go and release more sugar into the blood, whereas the one in the blood has not been removed, transported to where it's supposed to enter. And the liver has released another sugar into the blood. It keeps piling up. So that's what corticosteroids, that's what it does to your body. By the time you keep consuming this prednisolone, over time, it keeps causing your sugar levels to spike. Number two, another thing that this corticosteroid does, how it does increase your blood sugar level, is number two, it reduces glucose absorption by the cells that need to absorb it. You know, by the time the glucose is being moved from the bloodstream into the cells that need it, which is the muscle cells and the fatty cells, these are the cells that need more of this. When you get to those cells will refuse to open door. What do I mean? The vehicle insulin carries the glucose to the cells where it's supposed to be packed, where it's supposed to enter. And when you get to those cells refuse to open door for the insulin to enter. Reduced absorption. And this is what we call reduced insulin absorption. Insulin is partially removed from the bloodstream, but for it to get absorbed in the fatty cells and muscle cells, it cannot be absorbed. So this is how steroid got a spike in blood sugar. About the number two as oral contraceptives. I said that the brain behind the spike of glucose in blood in oral contraceptive is the presence of oestrogen. Is the main factor that causes a spike in sugar levels. So how does this oestrogen cause a spike in sugar levels? Let's explore them. Number one, it suppresses the first phase of insulin secretion. You know, insulin is the vehicle that removes glucose from the blood so that sugar level become normal. So what this estrogen does is to suppress the production of this insulin so that there will not be insulin that will remove the glucose in the blood. And if there is no insulin that will remove glucose from the blood, it increases resistance. It makes insulin not to be sensitive. It makes the body not to be sensitive to the presence of insulin in blood, thereby stimulating the liver to keep breaking down fats to release glucose into the blood. There is still sugar in the blood, then the liver, not knowing that the sugar in the blood has not been evacuated by the insulin, keep releasing more sugar in the blood. Then the sugar already in the blood plus the one released into the blood makes it to go high, makes the blood sugar to increase because Or already there is sugar in the blood, and another sugar is being released in the blood. The sugar level becomes very high. So these two mechanisms of actions are the way oral contraceptive increase or spike the levels of your blood sugar level. Research also showed that estrogen accounts for 30 to 40% of insulin insensitivity. It makes insulin not to be sensitive. It makes the body not to be sensitive to insulin by 30 to 40%. Number three, I talked about thiazide diuretics. I said that thiazide diuretics are just medication that help to remove excess water and excess salt from the system via ultrafiltration that happens in the kidney. So what this medication do, example of this medication that remove excess water and excess salt from the system are indapamide, hydrochlorothiazide, chlorothiazide, clothalidone. These medications remove excess water and salt from the system. Okay, how does this thiazide diuretic increase the risk of sugar? How does this thiazide diuretics make you to have sugar, hyperglycemia? Number one, it impairs insulin secretion. You know that insulin is the major thing, it's just the main game player here. It removes sugar from the blood. So it suppresses, it impairs the production of this insulin so that sugar cannot be evacuated from the blood. That is number one. That's one of the mechanisms. How it increases. Number two, how does this diuretic increase blood sugar? Just like I said before, it does this one again by insulin sensitivity. It makes the body not recognize the presence of insulin in blood, thereby stimulating the liver to produce more glucose and release it in the blood. So the insulin, the glucose already in the blood, plus the one the liver releases again into the blood, makes glucose to be abundant in the blood. And more glucose in the blood, that is what we call diabetes or hyperglycemia. So I said number one, it impairs, it suppresses production of this insulin. Number two, it causes insulin resistance or insulin insensitivity. That is how it makes glucose level go high. Number three, this diuretic, another way they cause your sugar level to go up by suppressing or impeding insulin absorption. The fatty cells and the muscle cells that need to absorb this insulin so that it can leave the bloodstream, they are not responding to absorbing this glucose. What do I mean? The vehicle, which is insulin, carry this glucose to the place it's supposed to get into. As they got to the compound, let the man open the gate for insulin to enter into the building. The man refused to open the gate of fatty cells and the gate of muscle cells that this insulin is supposed to enter so that the blood will not have high insulin content again. The gate man refused to, and that is what we call poor absorption of insulin. And what is triggering it is this diuretics, this medication that makes you urinate. So how it makes your sugar to go up, number third, is to impair or to suppress absorption of this glucose in blood. It makes the glucose in blood to remain there. The fatty cells will refuse to absorb it. The muscle cells will refuse to absorb it. It will now be more than abundant in the blood, and that is diabetes or hyperglycemia. The number five I talked about is some antipsychotics. I told you that most of the antipsychotics trigger blood sugar levels. So how do these antipsychotics, something like olanzapine, clozapine, and risperidone, how do these medications trigger blood sugar levels? Number one, they cause you to gain unnecessary weight. You see, these antipsychotics, if you notice very well, anyone that is taking these mental retardation medications like antipsychotics, olanzapine, risperidone, after some time, you see them gaining weight. That weight they are gaining is just a way the medication is, the response of the medication to the body. And that weight gain is the brain behind the increase of the blood sugar. By the time they begin with check the blood sugar, you notice that there is a spike in the blood sugar levels. So these antipsychotic medications, how they increase blood sugar levels is one, by making you to gain weight. As soon as you gain weight itself is the major thing that makes your sugar to go high. Number two, they bind to receptors that block insulin secretion. The major factor here is insulin. Anything that happens to insulin affects blood sugar levels. So how these antipsychotics Number two, how this antipsychotic increase your blood sugar level. The number two is they bind to a receptor that blocks the production of this insulin. And you know that anything that prevents insulin from being produced from the pancreas will automatically leave more than enough glucose in blood. The glucose there will not see a vehicle that will come and remove them from the bloodstream. It will just be abundant. And the abundance of this glucose in blood, that is what we call diabetes. Thank you so much for watching. I believe that you enjoyed this video. Please remember to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification button so that you see my next video. We love you.